Hello guys, in this video we are going to study about congenital adrenal hyperplasia, a very important topic for NEETPG and INICET examination and next examination, right? So mainly there are three types of congenital adrenal hyperplasias that you need to know. Mainly three types. First is 17 alpha hydroxylase, 21 hydroxylase deficiency and 11 beta hydroxylase deficiency. So these are the three main important things. Nothing else is required. But to understand this, we have to understand the whole adrenal steroid and congenital adrenal hyperplasia's physiology. Right. So first of all, cholesterol is used to make any of these underlying structures or underlying biochemical molecules that is written below, right? And how does the cholesterol enter in the adrenal gland? It enters via star protein, right? That is written over there. Now via cholesterol desmolase, pregnenolone is made, and then 3 beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase comes to convert it into progesterone. Then comes 21 alpha hydroxylase. Now the important thing starts. 21 alpha hydroxylase come to form 11 deoxycorticosterone. Now 11 beta hydroxylation or hydroxylase will come, enzyme will come to form corticosterone, and lastly aldosterone synthase will come to form aldosterone. This particular thing is occurring in zona glomerulosa. Now in zona fasciculata, the same thing will happen. 17 hydroxypregnenolone, then 3 beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase will come to form this particular molecule, then 21 hydroxylase will come to form 11 deoxycortisol, and then 11 hydroxylation or 11 beta hydroxylase will come to form cortisol. So these things are important, and lastly cortisone will be formed, right? But for the molecule pregnenolone to enter this particular area or 17 hydroxyprogesterone to form this, 17 alpha hydroxylase enzyme is required, right? So for forming cortisol, right, 17 alpha hydroxylase is important, right? Then after that there is DHA, androstenedione and testosterone, and these particular things occur by 17 or 20 lyase, right? So these things are not important, right? So in a very basic form, I am actually writing the same thing over here again, right? So first of all, cholesterol will come. Then what will happen after cholesterol will come? There will be three pathways, right? First is aldosterone pathway, next is cortisol pathway, and lastly sex steroid pathway, right? So in aldosterone pathway, what will happen in aldosterone pathway? After cholesterol we get pregnenolone. After pregnenolone there is progesterone, right? After pregnenolone there is progesterone. Then after progesterone, you can see over here, after progesterone there is 11 deoxycorticosterone, right? And the enzyme required over here is 21 alpha hydroxylase, right? I am only writing 21, right? Now after that, after 11 deoxycorticosterone is formed, then corticosterone is formed, and lastly aldosterone is formed, right? Again an important enzyme called 11 hydroxylase enzyme is required over here, right? So these two things you have to remember. Now to form cortisol, I already told you that pregnenolone has to cross over it, right? Has to cross over from here, and the same thing will happen again. 21 alpha hydroxylase will come. 21 alpha hydroxylase will come to form 11 deoxycortisol. Right? And then after 11 deoxycortisol is formed, then lastly cortisol will be formed. Cortisol is formed, and the enzyme required over here is again 11 hydroxylase. And which enzyme is required for transferring substances from aldosterone to cortisol? It is 17 alpha hydroxylase. Extremely important. So you have to mainly remember three numbers. So those three numbers are 17, 21 and 11, right? These three numbers are important. First is 21, it comes here, 11 comes here, and 17 comes here. So on the basis of these three things only, we will actually study these three pathologies that are given over here: 17 alpha hydroxylase deficiency, 21 alpha hydroxylase deficiency, and 11 beta hydroxylase deficiency. Now another very important thing that we have left over here is sex steroids. Again, sex steroids will require 17 alpha hydroxylase to form the whole sex steroid group of molecules, for example DHEA, etc., right? So that's it. So let me tell you one thing, that what will happen. I'm giving a basic overview of this particular topic over here only. 17 hydroxylase deficiency. What will happen if there is 17 hydroxylase deficiency? If there is 17 hydroxylase deficiency, the deficiency is present over here, right? If 17 hydroxylase deficiency is present, then of course molecules will not be shunted from the aldosterone pathway to the cortisol pathway. Therefore, what will happen? Cortisol will decrease. Cortisol will decrease, right? What will happen to aldosterone? Aldosterone is present over here. Since 17 alpha hydroxylase is deficient, that's why molecules will pile up in the aldosterone pathway, right? Molecules will pile up in the aldosterone pathway, so aldosterone will be more. What happens when aldosterone is more? Aldosterone does water retention and salt retention in the body, right? So BP will be high because of water retention, okay? And what will happen to sex steroids? Since 17 alpha hydroxylase is required for shunting the molecules from aldosterone to cortisol pathway, and again from the cortisol pathway to sex steroids, 17 is present over here again. That's why sex steroids will also be low. Okay, so if the patient is female or if it is male, what will happen? If the baby is male, then due to absence or lack of sex steroids, there will be hermaphroditism, right? And if the baby is female, then it will be normal, right? Because sex steroids are actually required, mainly important in male babies for the development of genitalia, right? If sex steroids are absent, then the male genitalia will look small or it will be ambiguous, right? So I'm written ambiguous genitalia. Okay, so this is everything about 17 hydroxylase deficiency. Now coming to 21 alpha hydroxylase deficiency. What will happen if there is 21 alpha hydroxylase deficiency, right? 21 hydroxylase deficiency. In 21 alpha hydroxylase deficiency, what will happen? See over here. In 21 alpha hydroxylase deficiency, we can see that the 21 alpha hydroxylase enzyme is present both in the aldosterone and the cortisol pathway. That's why both aldosterone will not be formed and cortisol will not be formed, right? Both aldosterone and cortisol will not be formed, right? So aldosterone low, cortisol low, and because of aldosterone is low, BP will also be low, right? What will happen to sex steroids? What will happen to sex steroids? See, since these molecules cannot be utilized for forming aldosterone and cortisol, that because of 21 alpha hydroxylase deficiency, that's why these molecules will be shunted from the 17 alpha hydroxylase pathway to the sex steroids, right? These will be shunted to the sex steroid part. So sex steroids will be high. Since sex steroids will be high, the effect will be different in females and males. If the baby is a female, because of very high sex steroids, the female baby will now become ambiguous genitalia baby, right? The clitoris will look larger and it will resemble a penis. So that's why the female who is actually XX will have a penis like external genitalia. Now what about the male? For in case of males, if the sex steroid is more, nothing, it is not a very big deal. The external genitalia may look a big bigger, but it will be male like only. So there will be no question of ambiguous genitalia. So in this case, the male genitalia or the male will look normal and the female will look ambiguous because of more sex steroids. Male needs sex steroids for the development of external genitalia for it to become penis, right? But female don't need sex steroids for the development of their clitoris, right? Now coming to the last one, 11 alpha hydroxylase deficiency. 11 alpha or 11 beta hydroxylase deficiency. Right, what will happen if there is 11 beta hydroxylase deficiency? As you can see over here, this is 11, right? So again, aldosterone and cortisol will not be formed, right? So I'm writing it over here, same as above 21 hydroxylase deficiency. Aldosterone will be low and cortisol will be low, right? And what about sex steroids? Again, the same fact, since 11 beta hydroxylase deficiency is present, so these structures, aldosterone and cortisol, will not be made. So all these molecules will be shunted again to the sex steroid pathway, right? All these molecules will be shunted to the sex steroid pathway. So sex steroids will be high again. And if they are high, what will happen in males? Normal, the genitalia may look longer or bigger. But in females, what will happen? This will lead to ambiguous genitalia because the clitoris may look like a penis. Ambiguous genitalia, right? So that's it, guys. But now the twist comes over here. There is a difference. So there is almost no difference in 21 and alpha 21 deficiency and 11 deficiency, but the answer is wrong. There is a basic difference between 21 hydroxylase deficiency and 11 hydroxylase deficiency. The difference lies over in BP, right? I already told you that aldosterone is low, right? Aldosterone was low here also and the BP is low. But in case of 11 hydroxylase deficiency, the aldosterone is low, but the BP surprisingly is high, right? Why? Why the BP is high, right? See over here. The BP is high because in 11 hydroxylase deficiency, we can see over here that aldosterone is not made, right? But corticosterone is also not made. But the main thing comes over here that since 11 hydroxylase deficiency is present, so this particular pathway will be blocked and 11 deoxycorticosterone amount will go up, right? Because it will accumulate, because in any reaction, if the enzyme is not working, then the product will be formed less and the substrate will go high, right? That's why 11 deoxycorticosterone is high. And since 11 deoxycorticosterone is a molecule that resembles aldosterone in its action, right? It is a molecule that resembles aldosterone in action, and since it is a weak aldosterone functioning, but because the amount which has accumulated is very high, that's why 11 deoxycorticosterone will actually act like aldosterone excess only. That's why 11 deoxycorticosterone is high, very high, and since it resembles aldosterone in action, that's why therefore BP actually goes up. So this is the difference between these two, so it is very important. So that's it, guys. This is the difference between these three types of deficiency. Now actually we are coming to this particular picture and we will see whatever I have told you over there, right? See, in 17 alpha hydroxylase deficiency, I already told you, since in 17 alpha hydroxylase deficiency, 17 deficiency is present over here. This whole pathway, you can see over this whole cortisol pathway will actually not work, right? And also the sex steroid will also not work because 17 alpha hydroxylase actually helps in shunting the molecules from the mineralocorticoid pathway to the cortisol pathway, right? That's why what will happen, the amount of mineralocorticoid present over here, will actually go up, right? Amount of mineralocorticoid will go up because this particular pathways are not working, so everything will be shunted in this one, right? Since aldosterone is high, what does aldosterone do? It throws potassium out and it helps in water and sodium retention. That's why BP will go up, right? What will happen to cortisol? Of course, it will go down because the cortisol requires 17 alpha hydroxylase for it to shunt. Then what will happen to sex steroids? Of course, it will be low, right? In aldosterone, decreased androstenedione will be present. Now, I already told you, since the sex steroids are less, and who requires sex steroids? It is male who requires. That's why XY, atypical genitalia or undescended testis will be present in the biological males, whereas in females, lack of secondary sexual character is enough, right? Then coming to 21 hydroxylase deficiency. In 21 alpha hydroxylase deficiency, where is 21 alpha hydroxylase present? It is present over here and it is also present over here. So since 21 alpha hydroxylase is present in both aldosterone and the cortisol pathway, so both mineralocorticoid, that is aldosterone and cortisol, will be low. Since mineralocorticoids are low, that's why potassium will be high, because there is no aldosterone to throw the potassium out, and since there is no aldosterone, so no salt and water retention, that's why BP will be low, right? What will happen to sex steroids? Already told you, if 21 is not working, everything will be shunted here, right? So sex steroids will be high. Now who requires sex steroid? Again, male. So if sex steroid is high, males have no problem, they will have a bigger genitalia. But what will happen to females? Their clitoris will become big and resemble penis. That's why it will cause virilization in XX, and in other babies it can cause precocious puberty because of high sex steroids, right? Now coming to the last one, 11 beta hydroxylase deficiency. Now 11 beta hydroxylase deficiency, I already told you, it is present over here and here. That's why what will happen? Again, aldosterone will be less, already told, and cortisol will be less because this particular enzyme is required in formation of both these substances. And what will happen? Again, it will be shunted to the sex steroid pathway, molecules will be shunted to sex steroids pathway, that way sex hormones have rise, right? Now, since aldosterone is less, but there is a catch in 11 beta hydroxylase deficiency. And what is the catch? The catch is that in 11 beta hydroxylase deficiency, the aldosterone is less, but 11 deoxycorticosterone is actually high. This results in high BP, right? This results in high BP. So it is very important thing that you need to know, right? So BP will be high, and aldosterone, what does aldosterone do? It throws potassium out. That's why potassium will be low, right? And again, since the sex steroids are high, that's why XX female will have virilization and male will have no problem, and precocious puberty is a complaint. So that's it, guys. Everything you require in this particular topic is actually given in this particular page only. So I hope I made you understand this particular topic nicely, although it was a very complicated topic for me to make you understand. But still, I tried my best to make you understand this particular topic. All you actually require is given over here only, I should say. Okay, in this particular table, you have to remember this table only. This particular thing is not required. It is only for your understanding purpose, right? Thank you.